Welcome back to the Swider Show, episode 31. Patty, after a very convincing 1-0 win, just like Draymond Green, we're hopping on the podcast. Why not us? Let's just hop on the podcast, get it going, and 1-0 Lakers lead over the Warriors right now.
How about that, though? I mean, it is pretty impressive how quickly he gets it up. We could respect that, us too. But, yeah, I mean, giant win. How you feeling? You got to be feeling good right now. Stay in between.
No, there's nothing like winning a game one. I've been fortunate enough to win both my game ones.
On the road, too.
Time. On the road and hostile environments. This Warriors crowd is just unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like they're used to winning a lot of games, and to go in here and steal the first ones, it was a huge win for us. So super excited for the next game. Obviously, hopefully we can steal another one, which would be huge.
Yeah, is there a sense of like getting greedy?
Oh, big time. That's LeBron's favorite term. You've seen him on Instagram videos all year, just being like, let's just get greedy. Let's win it. But one thing that Austin brought up when we were talking the other day is like, hey, like that last series was obviously his first series with LeBron, but like he can tell like when LeBron needs to play hard, he plays hard, and then he gets it done. Like
it's crazy.
It's a constant theme throughout like his whole entire career. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if Steph and Clay come out next game and just start heating it up, and LeBron's like, all right, we did what we had to do in San Francisco. Let's focus on game 3. But at the same time, he's gonna come out and he's gonna be ready to go, and he's gonna do what he has to do to try and steal this game too.
Yeah, I mean, he has a 7-game series down to a science, more than anyone has ever picked up a basketball. It is crazy. Sure. You could see him throughout a game, like he's picking his spots where he's like giving more energy. Maybe he's closing out a little harder. Last night, to his boy Draymond, like especially at the beginning of the game, he was just like Ben Simmons treatment times 100, just like standing in the restricted area. But
I mean, that's what we use him as. It's not a secret anymore. Like we use LeBron, and Draymond's notorious for being a free safety guy. Like the way teams guard,
it's like a
Vando,
rope,
the way teams guard, like Rui at times, like the way teams guard like just different guys throughout a series. Like they're just rovers. Like that's what Draymond does. He directs the defense. He's the back line of a defense. He's the point guard of a defense. One thing just watching those guys play, it's just unbelievable how they move without the ball, right? Like the way they just get in and out of actions. It's just such a fun style of basketball to play. And then we're in completely contrasting style. Like we're trying to get into the paint. Yeah. I saw a really good take this morning. Is like this is the closest we'll ever get to like seeing what 90s basketball versus 2023 basketball is like.
Yeah, because you guys are just giant and so physical, and it's just like patrolling the paint. Offense, a lot of mid-post stuff, and then just cutters. But that is true. I actually haven't thought of that point where it's like people trying to compare. This is probably the closest you'll ever get. Not like you guys still play modern basketball and shoot a shit ton of threes and stuff, but like it probably is as close as you could get in the modern era.
I mean, not last game. We decided that we're just going to take our twos. We're going to get into AD. Bron's going to take his mid ranges. I mean, we didn't hit that many threes. I think there was some crazy stat on us. I think I saw it on
threes,
on Fox. But it's like if a team beats you from the 3-point line by 35 points or more, you have the teams are like 3 and like 48 all time against in winning those games. Really? So we did an amazing thing last night. Obviously, game 2 they're going to come out gunning. The free throw disparity they're complaining about, but like when you shoot 53 threes, it's hard to get to the free throw line.
That's how you made it up. Like people were bitching about it, but there was a reason for that. I think it did start 17 zip. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, they were talking about it. They even got on Coach Ham for getting on the floor on that last Jordan Poole 3. He was closing out.
What did you think of that shot from your? I mean, it's hard for you to be objective here, but do you think it was a good shot?
If I'm him, I'm taking one dribble in and taking that same 3. He shoots those shots. I mean, you see Draymond and Steph defending him after the game after shooting that shot. So
yeah,
I don't think it's a bad shot. He shoots those shots every single game. I mean, there was a stretch in the playoffs last year where he made like 3 end of the third quarter shots like that, like off the backboard, like just crazy, just long range shots. And that's Jordan Poole. You know what I mean? You got to take the good with the bad sometimes when it comes to like good shooters like that.
Yeah, he one that stands out was last year in the finals. Yeah, when he made 6 threes. 2 of the makes were like I think he could have thrown them up backwards, and it was probably the same probability of going in.
Scotty looked over at me. He's like, Like, he's just throwing these things up. He's not even looking at the basket, and these things are going in. So, I mean, it was great to win that kind of game where in the fourth quarter, like, Steph and Clay got hot, and like when those two get hot and Jordan Poole is going, it's almost impossible to beat that team. And we found a way to come in here, grind it out, and win the game. So it was a big win for us, obviously.
Yeah, that run at the end was kind of vintage Dubs. It definitely did deliver. There's so much anticipation around the series, and there was a sense there. It was still a really well played game, but it was like, oh, you guys are just going to pull away with it.
Yeah,
Lakers fans tuning in obviously want that to happen. But yeah, that was just like a vintage Dubs run, 14-0. There's so much anticipation for this series, obviously, because of LeBron and Steph. There's a sense at the end of the game there. It's like, oh, you guys are just going to pull away with it. All the Lakers fans tuning in would have been pleased with that. But I don't know, as a more neutral observer, it's like the game just delivered. It was very, very back and forth towards the end. But
yeah, it just wouldn't be
how you pulled it out.
Yeah, I just want to be a Lakers win without it being like a close down to the wire type of game. I mean, we'll talk to Aaron here later. Why not just announce him now, right? This week we're really excited to have Aaron Cohen on. Aaron Cohen runs the Lakers All Day Everyday page, and he has great perspective from the Laker Nation. He runs Laker Nation. He runs not the Laker Nation Twitter page that we rave about all the time, but he runs Laker fan group chats. He sells merchandise. He does all these types of things, and he has some great content, Patty. So yeah, we'll be shouting him out a bunch throughout this episode.
100%. But the one thing I'm very excited, we haven't interviewed Aaron yet. We haven't talked to him, but one thing I'm very curious about with his background is he didn't get in this as like a journalist. You know what I mean? He's just a diehard fan, and he's such a diehard fan. He turned it into his full-time gig. So I don't know.
He started when
that's literally a dream.
Yeah, he started when he was like 14 years old. And literally had less than 10,000 followers. Obviously, started from the ground, and he's able to do it for a full-time job now. So he'll give us some really good insight on how the Laker fans feel. And he's kind of turned into like a mini celebrity at Laker games, right? Like he goes to games in Orlando, and he's having meetups outside of sections, and he's taking pictures with 20 fans outside of a section.
Shouting him out. Yeah. I'm sure we'll get into that, but
yeah. So shout out Aaron, man.
Yeah. Big time Lakers fan. Probably the leader of the Lakers fans, besides our guy Trevor Lane, leader of the Lakers Nation.
But I look at Trevor more of like a journalist type,
exactly.
That's very educated,
right?
Very educated, being able to relate to the average fan, be able to talk analytics with guys as well, right? Oh, yeah. I feel like Aaron just gives us that true Lakers fan of being a guy who never really played high level basketball, you know what I mean? Just grew up a Lakers guy his whole entire life. So I think it would be a great perspective from him, and obviously he can give us how the regular fan feels after every single game and the ups and downs of this season, especially, huh? Who would have thought after Game 12 that we'd be up 1-0 against the Warriors at Golden State?
Dude. It's nuts. There's weeks on the pod where we were down bad a little bit. I mean, you guys are
just trying to figure out what to talk about.
You're trying to figure it out. Yeah, you were hurt.
I'm hurt.
Yeah, fucking got it out the mud Paul Reed.
Wow. But, speaking of that, huh?
Yeah, they're playing right now. You could see it on my shitty TV behind my background on the YouTube. But how about Harden Game 1? Just
it was like a
back
vintage,
in the back.
Yeah, vintage Harden. I mean, people give him crap all the time. It's like, hey, he's not the same old Harden. And he had a really good press conference, and he kind of just talked about, hey, it's like when I was scoring 40 and 50 points and we would lose in the Western Conference Finals or second round of playoffs, people said you can't win playing that style of basketball. So he goes out and is the assist champion, averages 21, 22 points a game, and now they're saying he's not the old Harden. Yeah. I mean, I've been a critic of saying he's not the same Harden. He doesn't look the same in terms of his body, but I mean, hey, he goes out there and puts in that type of performance and is able to lift his team up with the MVPs out. You got to give him his respect.
Yeah, that was legit. If I were a Harden hater, hypothetically, I would say that that's not vintage Harden because he's never really done that in the playoffs. So this is still a new Harden that we're seeing. But
you can say
I don't know. I won't say that. I think Adam said that, but
that is an Adam type line.
Speaking of fans, yeah, Adam Lewis, producer, big time Celtics fan. So I don't know, tough 24 hours for Boston people, for your homegrown New Englander Swider. I don't really pay much attention to hockey, but People are calling that the biggest collapse in human history.
I mean, it would be like the 73-9 Warriors losing in the first round. Like that's the type of season the Bruins had. So, I mean, to be up 3-1 and that good of a team and just probably
that's as bad as it gets.
Yeah, against an 8 seed is it's not what you want. It's not what you want.
No, it's also I mean the volatility of hockey. That was a good word there. Volatility of hockey. It happens more.
Like
8-1 upsets, but I don't know, man. If you're supposedly the best team ever, I mean, maybe win one round for us. Maybe win more than 3 playoff games, but
yeah, exactly. Like we say all the time, it's first to 4, not first to 3.
We
not
do
first
say
to
that.
1.
Friend of the show, Anthony Edwards. If you haven't tuned into that interview, that was episode 2. But speaking of getting bounced, we haven't talked since Friday night's smashing of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Wow.
40 ball.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks, a lot of people, this isn't my line, but a lot of people saying like, oh, Brooks said, don't respect you till you give me 40. Then you guys beat him by 40.
Yep.
All right, Swider. For the listener, full transparency, we were a little interrupted with the pre-show because we timed it poorly. It was my fault. Aaron joined the show.
Aaron was very punctual. No, it's my fault. I was coming back from practice. You know what I mean? It just happens. Podcasting, you just adjust. So
yeah, you got to adjust to things on the fly. So Adam's going to chop it up for us and make it sound good. We just finished our conversation with Aaron now. Very good dude. Very fun to talk to.
Very good dude.
Yeah, we could have talked to him forever, but we didn't want to sign off without at least doing one of our segments. We give each other some options, and we're going to go with Copycat League. It is a Copycat League. You're seeing more of that in the playoffs, Swider. I think there's more like coaches looking around and taking things series to series. You see that with the Heat and the Knicks. I don't know. You can't take us inside the locker room. I don't know if you're going to do that with the Warriors, but no one ever has figured it out. So, but I mentioned the Heat. They upset the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. I know. If you're just hearing this for the first time, unbelievable. 8 seed upsets a 1. Oh, that's what we were talking about. We were shit on the Bruins before. We're trying to figure out where we left the conversation, but that's really not the topic that we want to touch on. It is a lot of debate about Giannis's press conference, where I'm sure most listeners saw it. Cliff Notes version of it, where basically this reporter asked if the season was a failure. Giannis gave a very charismatic answer. People were saying it was kind of like a little league coach saying there is no failure in sports. I don't know. He compared it to if you're not promoted in a regular job like myself in a 9-to-5, then is that a failure of a year? But it basically just sparked a big debate.
What do you think
about getting promoted?
Yeah, is that a failure of a year if you don't get promoted?
Well, in this context, I don't think that makes much sense. I love Giannis. He's one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
But I don't know, not the best example there. Because that's like saying, I mean, if you don't get a new contract at the end of every season, then is that a failure? Like that's just like moving the goalpost there.
Well, I think there's a conversation of like, did you up your value this year? Did you have a good season? Is like because in the NBA there's an individual aspect to every single season that you have to look at. So I think Giannis looks at that, and he also looks at like you're not going to win a championship every single season, right? Like the goal is to be in the conversation to have a chance to win the championship every single year, which Giannis has done. Obviously, like this series took a turn when he got hurt in the first game, 11 minutes into the game 1. I think that kind of gave the Heat confidence. And once you give a team like that confidence, like they've made it far in the playoffs, they made it to the finals with that core guys. They've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before, lost in Game 7. So I think when you look at that, when you take all those things into account, it makes for a series like that to happen. The way they lost Game 5 was absolutely just like a Syracuse basketball loss in 2021. It was like
and 4.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable loss, and just stuff like that happens in basketball sometimes. So I think Giannis took an approach that I wouldn't say that the season was a failure by any means, but I would say that they obviously didn't accomplish their goal, right? Their goal is to win a championship. Their goal is to make it far. They had the roster do it. They had the team do it. They had the coach to do it. And you lose in the first round to an 8 seed, which is obviously not what you want. But at the same time, like Ty Lue was asked, like, what do you think of this series? Like, our two best players were hurt.
Yeah.
Like Ty Lue, the head coach of the Clippers, like, our two best players were hurt. Like, what do you guys want us to do? Like, $80 million of our salary cap was out of the lineup. Like,
for 1 year.
Take out Stephen Clay from the Warriors. What are they going to do? Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah. Giannis, it is like the counterpoint to that would be the 2 games he did play, they lost, but he was clearly pretty like hobbled. He wasn't himself. He also had 38 points and 20 rebounds.
Yeah, but he played great. He played great in one of the. Yeah, he played great.
Yeah.
I think in both games that he played in.
But the one thing I don't love about stuff like this is like on Twitter, people are like, oh, dude, it's obviously a failure. You guys didn't win the championship. I don't think Giannis is saying like, yeah, I came into the season, I was like fine with not winning the championship, but I do get his point. It's so easy to pile on when something like this happens, though, because there's so many people that agree when you're like, oh, dude, it's actually a failure. So then you start getting the likes, you start getting the retweets. I thought about
it's definitely a controversial thing because it's definitely a controversial thing because at the end of the day, as a sports fan, you want your superstars to be so invested in something that they think it's a failure, right? At the end of the day, you have to like remind yourself, like, all right, these guys are humans too. These guys have families. These guys have day-to-day lives that they take care of. Like for their mental health, for their sanity, if it was to be a failure, then these guys are going to a dark hole. Like that's not what you want either, right? So I think Giannis takes a great approach. Like Giannis is one of the, like he plays every single night that he can.
Yeah,
that's like he does not take any games off. He wants to be out on the court. He loves Milwaukee. He stayed in Milwaukee like when everyone told him not to.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he wants to stay in Milwaukee the rest of his career. So I think overall Giannis is a great example, a great role model, a great person to look after, and I think he'll use this season to propel him forward in the future to win another championship.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I think he gets, I don't know if it's benefit of the doubt, but it coming from him is definitely different, and the reaction to it was definitely different. I think there's more people agreeing with him because of like all the qualities that you just mentioned, and he plays his ass off. He's developed more so than maybe anyone who's ever been in the league. He like works his ass off. I was thinking like if like someone who gets like Luka, for example, or Harden, like someone who gets like kind of shit on every now and then for not playing as hard, or maybe like coming back from camp out of shape, and people have questions about their work ethic and everything, the reaction definitely would have been way, way different. But I mean, it's obviously a failure. If you ask Giannis, I bet he also thinks like, yeah, we didn't win the championship, so the season's a failure. But his point is like, overall, if it's just that black and white, then you're just going to be like always pissed off. But I don't know. Another good debate.
No, for sure. It's I definitely see both sides. Like all of us in the NBA are competitors, and we want to win a championship every single year. But there is a real basketball thing where like it won't happen sometimes, and you got to be okay with that. So
I had one more thing to say. I can't remember what it was. My official take on the thing, on this situation as a whole, is that I think the term him, calling someone him, which is, you were actually the first person I ever heard say that. I don't know if I've ever told you that on camera or off camera. Like September of last year, I remember I like had a good practice. You were like, you feel like him right now? And I was like, what's that? And you were like him. So I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know, Swider, you might have started that trend single-handedly. I think that coming about right before Jimmy Butler went on the run he went on in the playoffs is one of the worst things that's ever happened in sports. So many people tweeting Himmy Butler. This guy, I was watching SportsCenter last week. He said Himmy Butler like 4 times in 3 sentences. It's like Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy Butler, more like Himmy Butler. It's like everyone who says it acts like the first person who's ever said it.
Yeah. Well, Mark Jones is probably the first guy to say it. Shout out to Mark Jones. That guy is hilarious on broadcast.
Yeah, he probably said it last year, though. So you got to give him credit. But
exactly.
Yeah, any like old shithead on Twitter just tweeting it out, like thinking they're the funniest person ever. It was getting under my skin, Swider. It was making me like Jimmy Butler less.
Being a Twitter head like you are, I'm not
I'm not
surprised
the
that
biggest
it
Twitter
bothers
guy.
you.
I mean, I'm running our socials single handedly. Sheridan's not helping us out. So, um, but yeah, without further ado, I think we could kick it to Aaron if you have nothing
Yes.
else to add, Swider.
Yeah, let's kick it over to Aaron, man. Great perspective. Obviously, super diehard Laker fan, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this interview and a different perspective of the Lakers and our run in the playoffs. So let's kick over to Aaron. Hey, welcome to my boy Aaron Cohen, the founder of LADE. Aaron, let's just get right into it, bro. Like, how you feeling after last night? Let's hear it. Game one win against Golden State, coming from the probably the most diehard Laker fan there is.
I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep it real on the Swider show. I honestly believe the Lakers were gonna drop game one. I mean, I know you guys had a lot of rest, and
Yep.
Golden State was coming off of I think 1 or 2 days rest. So people were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they're gonna be tired," but I was like, I don't know. I think all the momentum, the fans, and I'm happy. I'm like, I was extremely surprised, with the outcome, especially with LeBron not having a crazy good game. But AD came to play. He was ready. He was locked in. And Vando, amazing job. I can talk about that game forever, but I'm just excited. I'm happy. That really it was a tone setter.
What's the fans' perspective going into that game after the Memphis series? Obviously, an emotional series with the whole Dylan Brooks thing. Because I said on the pre-show a little bit, like, you run fan group chats, you talk to fans all day, like that's what you do, right? What's
Yeah.
the fan perspective coming off that series win?
So that series it's a good question because it's very different. So with Memphis, guys like Brooks, Ja, and all like those guys, they chirp a lot. Like Bane, there's a history of them talking to everyone. And fans, especially Laker fans, really don't like that. They have a really low tolerance for like trolling. So if someone trolls you, we're gonna come back 10 times harder. Like they just don't care. So I mean, the whole thing was like, yo, let's go at Dylan Brooks. Like let's try to troll him as much as possible, get in his head for him trying to come out LeBron. So that whole series was like, nah, we're trying to step on your neck and like kill you. Now with the Warriors, like there's a lot of respect from the fans' perspective. Like the defending champs, they don't talk that much, like they just do their thing.
Besides Draymond.
I mean, Draymond's Draymond, but like compared
He's the
to like
biggest LeBron fan in the world, though.
He is.
so there's that. It's very different from the way it was with Golden State and Cleveland and Golden State and Miami, like where they were going at it. So I just think that now there's more sense of more respect and the expectation coming off of that Memphis series is like, yo, we're gonna beat everyone. That's like the fans like we're gonna beat everyone. No one's stopping us.
Yeah.
And like I mean, look at us, bro. We're looking really good right now.
What about sticking on that point with Memphis? From your perspective, as someone who runs maybe inarguably the biggest Lakers fan page on social media, are you seeing these Brooks quotes in the back of your mind? Or you're like, oh, let's go! Like that's pretty awesome that he said that because like that's just driving. That's just great content for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, like Laker fans they're known for that. It's like we're the loudest, we're the most obnoxious, we're the most loyal, we're all that. So, um,
Arguably.
arguably, yeah. But like you look at what Brooks says, like he's literally saying word for word what Laker fans want to hear. Like, yo, I poke bears, like I don't respect you. And like, oh, like LeBron go get 40, like go like it's like, and you got LeBron, like Cole, especially like he's not for that trash talk. He's not gonna he doesn't need to respond. He said this, so
No.
but I mean, yeah, in terms of social, like that stuff goes the craziest. Like I've learned.
Yeah.
I didn't really build my page on clickbaity and like crazy controversial posts and stuff like that. It's more like you come to my page and you know what you're getting. Like you're gonna get reliable news. You're gonna get some spice from me. Like I analyze the
Right.
way I analyze things. It's not just gonna be like, oh, win next game tomorrow. It's like
Yeah.
go crazy. Like I've done crazy shit. Like I've had some videos go viral of me celebrating with the Lakers. But yeah, I mean, we love that. Fans love that stuff.
What goes into those pregame posts? Because I think those are probably the funniest things, maybe on Instagram that you do.
Yeah, there's a lot. Honestly, like the whole everything I post on Instagram is usually a lot of preparation that goes into it. But to answer your question, um, I'll just think about like players that have come at us as a team or like at a player, or if like they had a viral funny moment, like a really crazy outfit, or like for example, the best one was when I had Chris Paul on the cover and I had and I had Kim Kardashian in the background with like just like funny stuff like that. Like I usually don't take it. I don't take it too far. Like I've had ideas that I have to scratch that I won't bring up, but like, um, just about preparation. Like that's kind of the biggest thing. I worked for ESPN for a bit in college, and like that's the number one thing I learned, just like being prepared, and having content ready. So like for Game 7 between the Warriors and the Kings, I had a whole folder ready. Like if the Kings won that game, so.
Yeah.
People ask how I'm so fast. It's like because everything's prepared, and like 90% of the stuff I create is like thrown out. That's just the way it is, though.
When you're watching these games, there's a level of stress sort of that goes into it because you're obviously a giant fan, like in your heart, but then you also have to make content. So if there's a big highlight play or like I don't know, at the end of quarters, if you're updating stats, if there's foul trouble, whatever, like it's kind of a different way of watching the game because you have to be watching it like through this lens of like, oh, actually I have to make content out of this. I can't just like enjoy the game and root for the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, comparing to the way it was before I was posting before I had that account, I would sit down and watch the game. But now, like, my phone's out, I have my laptop, I'm talking to my guys. Like, I have one guy who's my graphic designer, so he'll make things on the fly, have things ready for right after the game. I have a guy who cuts highlights in real time, so like, if there's a nice play, like, I'll have it like probably less than a minute after it happens. But yeah, my mind is like, okay, I'm like watching the game. I'm obviously enjoying it, but my number one priority is like, what's going to be most, what's going to fit best on social from what I'm seeing. So a lot of the times, um, especially when I'm at the game, things that I've realized is that, the things that have gone viral are things that are not actually happening when the ball, is live. It's like funny plays. Like, for example,
Yeah.
Russ grabbed the mop when the floor was slippery and he like scrubbed it and that like went crazy. Things that happened on the bench, fan interactions, like so that's what like I've noticed. And with social, like you realize when something hits, you go and do it again. Like figure out a way to switch it up, but like keep it fresh and like you learn what your audience likes. But yeah, my mind's constantly like thinking about what's gonna be best optimized for social.
Aaron, let's talk about the dark days of being a Laker fan. The 2-10 days from this season. Obviously, last year speaks for itself. I think it's been talked about enough. But let's talk about the 2-10. What is the difference of covering a team that's 2-10, trying to be positive, trying to keep the fans uplifted, compared to a time like now? Like how do you balance that? How do you try and not hate on players and hate on things like that? And because I think you do, I think you're the best at that of like not hating on players, trying to calm the fans down when times are bad and trying to hype the fans up even more when times are good.
Yeah, thank you. I think the biggest thing is people don't realize this that I created my page in 2014. So, or sorry, 2013 and like after I created it in August. So, the Lakers made the playoffs that year and that was when Kobe tore his Achilles and then they get eliminated from the playoffs. I make my page that summer. They don't make the playoffs again until 2020. So, the first 8 years of Lakers all day every day was horrendous. Like we won 15 games, like it was that, and um, the whole thing was for me was like good times are coming. Like we had good times, and 2009, 2010, 1999, 2000. Like we've had good
Yeah,
times and downs. But what makes you a true fan is like when you support them while it's not easy. That's my biggest thing. It's like whenever it's not a convenient time to be a Laker fan and you support the team unconditionally is what makes you a Laker fan. And people take it
definitely.
really, really seriously. Like being a Laker fan, I've learned from other people, like the things that people do to support the Lakers, the times they wake up to watch these games, the amount of money they spend out of, their allocated budget. Just like there are such dedicated fans and it's inspired me and motivated me to continue like going hard at what I do and like really trying to, bring the best content. So now, I mean, we had a rough start and I was like, guys, we've been here before. Like it's a long season and players can I honestly had hope for Russ. I thought that he was going to turn a corner and like towards when it got close to the trade deadline, Russ was playing better. But it did come to a point where like I said on my own podcast, I was like, look, I love Russ, but I don't think it's gonna work with him. Um, and even when the Lakers shipped him off, I was like, guys, we send him off with class. Like, a lot of people see and hear what Laker fans are saying. And simple as like, if you want people to come in free agency, like you should want to respect them, because like, you see what Pat Bev said on his podcast, like talking about how like Laker fans trashed him after he had a bad game. So I know that Laker fans are all over the world, and there's millions and millions and millions of them, and I have 500,000 of them following me, but I still think that like I have an influence, and I can positively influence them to like be more patient, be more classy, and represent Laker Nation the right way.
I mean, you're right by saying it. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I mean, you're right by saying like it is a worldwide fan base, right? One thing that we asked, we had Trevor Lane on our podcast a couple of times. One thing that we asked him was like, do you think you would be able to do this? And obviously you do a hell of a job being prepared. You do the right things in terms of that nature. But do you think you'd be able to do this if let's say you're an Orlando Magic fan, right? Because I think what the Lakers make it so special that you're able to do this and honestly make a living off of it.
Yeah, and this question comes up all the time. People ask me like, "Yo, would you do it if it was the Clippers or it was like the Grizzlies?" Like, and like my answer would be like,
Patty,
no.
Patty, I think Aaron hates the Clippers more than anything.
I mean,
yeah,
look, it's just
actually,
yeah. Go ahead.
Is that the Lakers' like main rival? Is it them or the Celtics?
I'm personally trying to get it away from the Clippers because like they really haven't done shit. They've like given done nothing. But I don't know. I think it's more just like they're in LA, they're in our city, they're trying to take our identity. But I mean,
are they though? Like, is anyone actually saying the Clippers are taking the Lakers' corner? I feel like no one with a brand says
fans. That. I mean, they're fans. Like,
yeah, I also live 3,000 miles away, so I wouldn't know. But
yeah, no, I mean, but the thing is, like, running a community like this takes so much effort and time. And like, if you don't really want it, you don't really want to do it. It's not gonna work, because you gotta love the Lakers, and you gotta love what they do to put in this much effort. Like, everything I do revolves around the Lakers. Like, all my free time is like, okay, what am I gonna do for this page? Like with my podcast, with my clothing, I do jewelry. Like you gotta love it. Just like basketball, like Cole, you gotta love it. It's like if you have one goal, it's like to become the best basketball player you can be. If you don't love it, then you're not going to succeed. So any other team, I would never do it. I just don't have it in me, bro. I can't fight. Like, I can't fake it. Like, this is the way I was raised. Like, I'm a Laker fan.
was there a post like throughout those years where the Lakers were pretty bad? Like, is there one moment you could point to where the page blew up?
Yeah, there's two main moments. So the first one was when the Lakers got LeBron. I think
LeBron bump.
Yeah, like when the Lakers got LeBron, I think I got like 20,000 followers in a day, and that point I had like 150,000. So like it was a nice little jump. That was just the first day. So 20 in the first day, and then I also knew in my mind like, yo, we're back. Like the post Kobe era, post Kobe era
We're
is over.
back.
LeBron. It's like we're back. Like we're here. We made it. We made it through like the 10-year drought or the 8-year drought on that point. And then the second one was obviously the championship. Like 2020, my first championship that I covered. Merch went crazy, and then just everything spiked from that point. Like, people were just much more engaged, and also I grew up. Like I was older. Like, I made my page when I was 14, and at that point I was 21. So, I mean, I matured with the page too. So everything got better.
Was the third when they signed Swider to the 2-way deal?
The third is when Cole went crazy God mode in summer league. Nah, but it's funny you bring that up, because gonna be honest again, I didn't know who Cole was. I obviously knew that they picked him up on a 2-way, and I took notice when he went crazy in the in summer league, and that's was like, yo, we got a 6'9" sniper. Like, it's exactly what LeBron James needs, like just shooters. I mean, and I say this all the time. Your time's coming, bro. And I hope it's with the Lakers, but I know your time's coming. You have what it takes. Like, I watch what you do in the G League. I've been to a game before, and I see you're dropping 30. One game you had like what, like 40 something? Was it 50 or?
Yeah, let's say it was 37, but let's say it was 50.
Yeah. No, I remember it was 37. It was like a Saturday night. I remember.
Yeah,
you have what it takes. You got some time with the Lakers. Like, I know you were guarding Giannis one night. Like, I think you have what it takes, bro. And with that shooting ability, I mean, I hope it's with us, though. I really hope it's with us.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I wish I could play tomorrow, but obviously just you gotta trust the process and everything that comes with that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But we'd be remiss if we didn't shout out Brandon Grant. Brandon Grant, we've mentioned him on the podcast before, but Syracuse manager, him and Aaron actually grew up together. So it was pretty convenient when I signed the 2-way contract. He was like, yo, follow my boy's page. I'm like, Lakers all day, every day. Go on his page.
Sprinkling the voice. Yeah.
Yeah, he has 500,000 followers. I'm like, okay, this guy's legit, huh?
Yeah, bro. Shout out to Brandon Grant. That's the man right there.
Yeah, man. Super hardworking guy. But yeah, man. So when did you know that this could be your full-time job? Because if someone were to tell you when you were 14 years old that, hey, you don't have to go work at ESPN, you don't have to go work at Bleacher Report, like you can start your own page and this could be your end goal, this could be your job, like what would you have said to them?
I mean, I would have laughed. I was like, what do you mean? Like, because when I was 14, there was no influencers, There was no one had like
Yep.
Instagram was established or created in I think 2010 or 11. So like it
Yeah.
was very small. And the point came really late. Like people think like, oh, like you knew you were gonna do this from a long time ago. Like, no, the true answer is it was 2021. It was after the Lakers won the championship. And that's because I graduated from USC in 21. I had an offer from ESPN to go, be on the social team with Omar, and focus on SportsCenter Next, which is like focusing on high school athletes. But I mean, first of all, I would have to leave LA. Second of all, which is more important than that, is I wouldn't be able to do what I do with my Lakers page. So like I would have to stop that. So all those years of work. And third, that's when I decided to, really go 10 toes deep with this brand that I created, because the opportunities with my Lakers community outweighed, anything that I could have gotten from Bleacher Report, ESPN. I got an offer from Adidas to go do social. I just felt like, working for myself, being my own boss, there's much more opportunity for myself, my own brand, and also, financially, because you go into one of these big companies, they're not throwing that much money at you.
Yeah.
So the two biggest things were obviously my happiness, just being my own boss, doing whatever I want to do, not really having anyone tell me what to do. And the second thing was, yeah, financially, like, and it worked. I got an agent. I have 10 employees now, whether it's graphic designers, a fulfillment center with my merch, jewelry, interns, because actually people don't know this. People don't know this. I don't think you know this, but every Friday night to Saturday night, it's not me posting. It's actually someone else because I observe Sabbath. So that's 25-hour period where there's no electronics. You basically go to temple, have a family dinner, and just chill. So that's the time where I reset. I don't look at my phone for 25 hours. And but yeah, so I have a couple guys do that. And best decision I ever made. I had people at ESPN tell me, go do your own thing. Like, you'll always have opportunities to go work for other people, but to have your own thing, just ride the momentum. And I'm so happy I did that.
Hey, speaking of jobs, I think Patty Casey's looking for an interview to help out with Laker all day,
Lakers
every day on the side.
You're
So
diehard Lakers fan before.
I'm really not, but I'm a diehard Swider fan. No, not really. I've always been a Lillard guy.
Okay.
So yeah, but
you got to run from the grind if it was up to me.
yeah, he'll be a future Laker.
I'm down for that.
But you mentioned like your experience with ESPN, whatever. Actually, I stumbled upon your LinkedIn page, Aaron, when I was looking up some research for the pod, and I found out that you were Lamar Odom's social media manager for a couple of years. You've mentioned the podcast. Swider was on the podcast, but how did that connection like come about?
Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up because this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, I didn't had much experience with, like, I guess you can call it athletes and celebrities. So one day I just see like Lamar follows the page and was interacting with a couple posts, and I was like freaking out. I was like, holy shit. Like, I was in Vegas at the time, I remember that. And I was like, oh my God, like Lamar Odom. So I DM'd him and he answered like the same night. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. I'm talking to Lamar Odom right now. So we ended up doing Instagram Live. I was like, yo, would you like to do an Instagram Live where like I'll interview you? and we'll just talk about like your Laker days and what you're doing now. And he's like, sure. So we set it up. I connect with his manager, and we talk. The interview goes really well. Like, she saw the strength and power of my community that I built. So she invited me to the Big 3 drafting combine in Vegas. Like the first time Lamar was like picking up a basketball, like in a league competitively since the NBA. So it was a big deal for him. It was like he was the head of the Big 3. He was like the headliner. And she wanted me to cover. So I was like, holy shit, like what do I do? Bro, I couldn't even stay at a hotel. I was 20 years old. So I had my older sister come with me, and she like, checked me in the hotel. Like I couldn't even, bro, it was like I was just there and like, let me just soak this up and like learn. So there's all these athletes there at the Big 3. I'm there with Lamar, and everyone was like, "Oh, who are you with?" I'm like, "I'm with Lamar," and everyone's like, "Oh, you're with Lamar!" Like that was his weekend, where like it was he's back to basketball. So it was a great experience. I met a lot of cool people there, like athletes, media, and after that weekend, like I would help out with the social here and there, but I had my own thing. I had school, and I actually got offered a full-time offer from his agent at the time. She wanted me to come and be his full-time like personal assistant, like just do everything with him, like coordinate, run his social. It was a big role, but I was like, I wouldn't really like to drop out of college at this point. I think I was a sophomore at the time. So we put that on the back burner. We didn't really talk. Like Lamar and I lost touch, and then I graduated college, and I'm like, look, this is like a year after I graduated college. I'm like, I really want to start a podcast, but I want to do it the right way. Because I had been thinking about starting a podcast for a really long time. And I was like, I don't want to start it. It's got to be the right way, with the right company that's going to like make sure that it gets eyeballs. And I want to have a really cool co-host. And I started a brainstorm of, some retired Laker players. So like Derek Fisher, I was thinking about like Trevor Ariza, Pau Gasol, and Lamar. We talked to Lamar, and then he was like, I'm super down. Like, I have so much I want to say about the Lakers, and I see you have the biggest Lakers community in the world. And I was like, look, I'm on the same page as you. Like, I think this could really, do well. And then that's how it happened. So, I mean, Lamar's great. Like, really funny guy. Like, really sweet guy. If you get to know him, like, he's a sweet, kind-hearted figure. Always wants to have a good time. And it's amazing. Like, still, like, to this day, we shot a pod today. Like, he walks in the room, and I'm like, yo, like, that's dope. In my head, I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
So I don't take any of it for granted. I didn't even say that yet. I don't take any of this for granted. Being here right now, on this podcast is like still like wild to me.
Hell yeah, man. We're gonna wrap this up soon, but I just want to hear from a fan, from ultimately the biggest Lakers fan that there is. What are your expectations for the rest of this series? What are the fans' expectations? Just give me an overall just 360 view of Laker fans and Laker all day every day stands.
Bro, I got one word for you: championship.
Yep, that's what I like to hear.
And I'll tell you exactly when that happened. It was the trade deadline. As soon as we made that trade, people were like, "Yo, we got it. We got a shooters. We got a defender. We got a guy who can make plays for others." And you see it. We were like, we were counted out. We had like a 0.3% chance of making the playoffs. We made the playoffs. Won that playing game by like, I don't know, it was a crazy game overtime. We got past the Grizzlies, and now we're up 1-0 on the defending champs. Like, now you can't. If you would be stupid if you said that, like the Lakers have no chance. So like Laker fans, we're locked in, bro. We're like Laker fans are already thinking about the parade. Like we're ready. we're so. And you hear how crypto is. Like crypto is crazy. Like
yeah,
it's
is
as loud as you ever heard it. So we're locked in. We're ready.
My man Aaron, man. Really appreciate you coming on, Aaron Cohen, Lakers all day, every day. Best Instagram page there is. If you guys don't follow him now. If you're a Lakers fan, even if you're not a Lakers fan, it's still great content. So yeah, man. So thanks for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it. And let's get this parade going.
Yes, sir. Yo, thank you for having me, Patty and Cole. And we're ready, bro. We're ready.
Yeah. Great meeting you, man. I'll see you at crypto maybe next time Swider invites me.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll set that meeting up.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, guys.